This thing is huge. So I have a condition where I am not a large man, and my hands, I mean, like, they're normal size, but I can reach an octave on a piano, and that's about it. So whenever I play games on PC, it's one of these two controllers, and this one's the newest in my collection, and it's huge. Don't get me wrong, this is one of the best controllers I've ever used. However, I like this one. Okay, we gotta start from the beginning. Obviously I didn't grow up with this console, but I like retro gaming, so I have a lot of old junk. There's nothing I can say about this that hasn't already been said, within the last 30 years, but, like the corners are sharp or whatever. I think what bothers me more than the corners is that this cable it's not centered, but whatever. Like the D-pad feels good, these buttons are fantastic, and there's really not much more to say. Solid. This one's also great. They moved the cable to the right spot, rounded it out, it's great. I will say though, and this is not something that I have seen talked about, so I don't like how mushy these buttons are. Like I can kind of like press it down and it doesn't register until I press harder, and then I can kind of rock it back and forth and it registers as multiple inputs, and that's not good. I know this is sacrilege to say, but I've definitely used better third-party controllers. But it's comfortable enough. Sometimes it kind of like right here. Sometimes it kind of gets sore right here, so it's like you know what I mean. But yeah, like, it's timeless and it's not big. I don't have much to say about this one, except I think it's clever that they give you 3 different ways to hold it, and for the most part it's comfortable. It does kind of get a little bit like right there on my finger, kind of rubs up, so extended gaming times kind of gets a little bit uncomfortable right there, but for the most part it's fine as long as you don't need to press the R button. It's just the layout. It was a decision. I'm gonna cut that part out. I don't play Nintendo 64 games all that often, so I'm sure if I did I'd have more of an opinion, but whenever I want to play Ocarina of Time, this is solid. Does this count as a controller? Behold, perfection. Ever since I played this console for the first time at the age of 5, this had always been my favorite controller. It fits great, the thumbstick is in the correct spot, more on that later, and yeah, I can play this for hours. 5-year-old me loved it, 25-year-old me still loves it. Gonna be honest, never been a fan of the Wii Remote. It's great for Wii Sports, but when it comes to playing, video games, there's better options. I don't mind holding 2 different things, but even with 2 different things, there's not enough buttons. You got A, B, no X or Y. I guess you got 1 and 2, but like, that's not happening, right? So like, yeah, a lot of games force you to use motion controls when it could have easily been a button press. Like, shake the Wii Remote, make Mario spin. Well, if I had a Y button, that would be easier. It's a little tedious, The classic controller was a much better alternative to the Wii Remote. It's just too bad that there's like 5 games that support it. Like, you got Mario Kart, Sonic Colors, I think. Yeah, and then the virtual console games. But like, there is zero reason why I shouldn't be able to play Lego Star Wars with this. But nope, they forced us to use the remote and the nunchuck. And it's like, alright. Like, you know, I'm very nostalgic for the Wii, but I'm able to recognize its tediousness. That's not a word. But you know what I mean. Alright, I just want to go on a very quick tangent and mention these controllers. They're pretty solid. I've never been a fan of the stick being on the bottom instead of the top, but you know, you get used to it. I also think the sticks are a little bit big, and I mean kind of, and also I don't like how the tops are convex instead of concave, and so it's like your thumbs can kind of, like, yeah, it's textured, but I don't know. Like, it's fine. The whole controller, like, it gets the job done, so it's fine. And this one's pretty much the same thing. It's just wireless. It's got analog trigger. So, you know, it's fine. But they're not big. They fit in my hands because they're not big. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. Now, I don't have every handheld ever made, but I do have this one. I even modded the screen. And the sound wasn't working before, and it just now started working as I started filming this. So that's weird. Anyway, it fits fine. The D-pad buttons are great. Like, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Anyway, I didn't grow up with this one, but I did grow up with this one. And like, it's kind of small, but it's not bad. And I do love playing on this one. It's kind of like you're trying to get your hands on there, but I certainly wouldn't want to play on anything smaller than this. So I had a GBA for a little while, and then I got a DSi, and I had the DSi for many years. I don't still, but I had that for a long time. But then after the DSi, I didn't own any of the 3DS line, like, at all, until last year when I bought this one from eBay. It's the new Nintendo 3DS. I never had one of these when they were relevant, so I thought I'd pick one up to mod, play some games that I missed out on. I gotta say, this is the most uncomfortable thing I've ever used. Like, it's so small. Like, my hands want to rest here, but then I'm going here. You see, like, it hurts right here. I cramp, and my fingers don't even want to stay on the triggers, and it's physically painful. And I have small hands. This shouldn't be a problem, yet here we are. And that leads us to Nintendo's somehow still current gen console, the Nintendo Switch. It's surprisingly comfortable in handheld mode. Not my favorite thing in the world. I mean, there's nothing to hold on to. It's just flat. But it's not that bad. Maybe after a couple hours, hands start to cramp a little bit, but it's fine. The buttons are fine. They're just a little small. These joysticks are a bit small. I had to send one of them in to get fixed for drift. And then, of course, there was not a D-pad, because it was just 4 buttons. I modded my Joy-Cons just so I can add this D-pad, which it's still 4 separate buttons, and so it's not a true D-pad, and you can press all 4 buttons at the same time if you want to. But for a handheld console, I think it's pretty good. And then, of course, you have that whole thing. So the Joy-Cons by themselves, again, there's nothing to put your hands on around here, so they're just kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's just gonna, ugh. There used to be straps that like attach onto the rail. I lost those within the first month of owning this thing, and yeah, so I just do this if I have nothing else. But they did have this beautiful thing, and so you put your Joy-Cons in here, and there you go. It's kind of a traditional controller, and you know what? It's surprisingly comfortable. Like, these grips do a good job of filling your hands, and then all the buttons are right there. Also like how you can just kind of pick it up like that. I don't know, kind of silly, but yeah, this is super nostalgic. Like way back when I was in college, freshman year, first bought the Switch, this is all I had. And you know, I was playing Breath of the Wild, and it was great. I don't know what this is for. Maybe for like a wrist strap. There you go. Now it won't fly off your hands while you're sitting there playing like this. Now, a cool thing I've been trying out with my Joy-Cons is that they're actually super versatile, because you can pair these in Windows and use it with Steam if you have a desire for such things. But they also can be paired in iOS. So you can attach this on here like that. And there you go. You can play iOS games, stream PC games, and it's just like that. Super cool. You can even use it with a phone. Well, this is a bit silly, isn't it? So yeah, Joy-Cons in the grip it's fine, but obviously a real controller would be better. So one day I went to Target to buy a Pro controller, but they did not have any. But what they did have is this. It's a cheaper option. This is a Power A controller. It's got all the buttons. They feel just fine. The controller's comfortable. It just doesn't have rumble, which kind of stinks. It does have a gyroscope, so that's cool, but no rumble. But yeah, I played a lot of games with this controller, and it gets the job done. But eventually, I did have to buy a legitimate Pro controller, and this is my favorite controller that has ever been made by anyone, and I use it every single day. This is actual perfection, except digital triggers. They're not analog like everything else. The rest of it's great. I love the buttons, I love the sticks. It's the most comfortable thing. I can play on this for hours, and I use it on the PC, and it's fantastic unless the game needs analog triggers. But other than that, it's great, and I love it. So it's perfection except for the triggers and Sid. So if I'm playing a game on the PC that needs it, I'm out of luck. Also, this controller is kind of annoying because it won't auto reconnect in Windows. Like, I have to go into settings, forget the device, go into pair a new device, press the little sync button, and then sync it again, and it's just a huge hassle. I have to do that every time I want to use it, even after it disconnects. Like if the battery dies or something, every time. So for those two reasons, I got this one, and this one's pretty great too. Joysticks are great, the buttons are great, this D-pad is fantastic, and it has analog triggers, and it auto reconnects in Windows. So win-win. However, it's huge. So everything that I've talked about up until this one has been either fantastic, or some of them have been slightly too small, like the 3DS and the Switch Joy-Cons. And then obviously this one's perfect. So why is this one the only one that's slightly too big? Like, it's not a deal breaker. I'll still use it. I just feel like I'm reaching really far to wrap my hands around it. But I don't know. I'm just nitpicking. It's a fantastic controller, and I love it. But if I don't need analog triggers, and I have the patience to go through the Bluetooth settings, I'm going to use this one. But what if there's a controller out there where I don't have to sacrifice anything, where it fits great, It has analog triggers, and it auto reconnects in Windows. Just taking the best of both of these and combining them into one. And I got to thinking, I have a PS2 controller, a PS3 controller, and a PS5 controller. I feel like I skipped one. So I bought one. Yeah, I had high hopes. It's a solid controller. I love the triggers in these bumpers. The D-pad is fine, and these sticks are fantastic. The buttons are kind of meh. The fact it charges with micro USB instead of USB-C, that kind of stinks, but I mean, this is comfortable, and it's really good. However, my hands start to cramp after using it for a while, like right in the palms, and I don't know why, because it's comfortable and it fits my hands really well. But when I'm thinking, do I prefer this or do I prefer this? I think I prefer this one. I don't know. So yeah, never mind. It's still between these two. Well, anyway, I didn't write anything in the script for the conclusion, so it's been real. Give us a like if you liked it. If you didn't like it, oh well. Hopefully you like the next one. Subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Okay, we gotta start. No. This one's also. Now my chair's squeaky. Sorry. Man, I need to turn on Do Not Disturb. Oh, it's died. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath for no reason. I'm gonna start over. No, I'm gonna redo the whole thing. Guys, I rehearsed it so well. You can even. No, my guy. No. Stop it. Oh my.